about gathering the wood and the sacrificial elements and bricks, and it's not so much of that. Yeah, once in a while we may do some yagya. Recently I did yagya in my house, but for us, for me, it's about waking up in the morning. That's the beginning of the yagya, chanting the rounds, doing our Bhagavatam, doing our Vishnu Sahasranam, ending the day with the Gita, or I mean, if you're in America, the opposite, like you end your day with Bhagavatam. So this is our sacrifice, using the time properly, using our resources properly, taking advantage of the devotees association to purify consciousness, engage in service. This is our nourishment. There's a lot of talk about self-care, self-love, all that, right? There's a lot of that thing about give yourself self-nourishment. What else is more nourishing? Yesterday when we were doing Gita verses, I felt that it's like a therapy. Those verses just kind of Nahinan Chindanti Shastrani, like the soul as it cannot be destroyed by fire and water, etc. But these verses, man, it just really replenishes that will to live for Krishna, will to serve Krishna. It was like a therapy for me, Gita. Every day we're doing one Gita chapter. It's really it replenishes my sense of purpose, at least for me. So that is our little yajnas. So what happens when we do yajnas is we get empowered. We get empowered our doors for the next stage of our life opens up. And then what do we do with that empowerment? Right here, Rishabhadev, so that was the first point about he utilizing all his resources to perform sacrifices. So we have a home, we have computers, we have internet, whatever we have, are we using it to nourish ourselves for spiritual goals? I am very inspired by all of you when you do that, in spite of your health situations, in spite of your children and responsibility, you showing up for the classes. It's so inspiring. We inspire each other to continue nourishing ourselves, and we can feel the difference when we nourish ourselves. The soul feels stronger. My grandmother always says atma bala manobala. So when we do this, manobala means mental strength increases. That's what would happen for the kings too. The mental strength, their senses under control, the mental strength increases, and they become powerful warriors. So when we become mental strength increases for us, we become good sadhakas, we become good mothers, we become good disciples, and we are useful in the society, Like we are better instruments. The knife is sharp. So when Krishna wants, he can use us for greater service. And then Atmabala. Atmabala is again, the world has its things. The body will go through its changes. Recently we were discussing about graying of the hair and thinning of the hair. It's natural. Cannot prevent it. It's going to continue. As we age, arthritis will come, hair will start falling off, and the immune system is weaker. So many things will happen. But in those situations, the strength of our soul, understanding, realizing who we are, self-realization of who we really are, then that gives us a sense of purpose and gives us that advancement. And here, so that's where the second point. And the third point here we can relate to is how the how the citizens were fully satisfied and they were experiencing increasing affection for their king. And none of the citizens hankered for illusory pleasure. Wow. So this can be kind of compared to analogy in our lives too, in our kingdom, and how are we engaging our, in Vedic astrology, when I do charts, I see, okay, there is your king, that's the sun, and then there's your moon, the queen, there is the Mars, your commander-in-chief, and then there's Rahu, Ketu, Saturn, that's your army. And how are you taking care of your army, or how are the citizens doing? And all that is also seen, right? So similarly, how is your citizens, meaning your Saturn? If your Saturn is like weak, like this here it says weak means what? Running after illusory pleasures, not satisfied, not giving up, blaming others, feeling victim. Are we like that? That means our citizens are starving and dying. What's the point? But if we feel a sense of letting go, closing chapters in our lives, letting go of our illusory needs and working harder to strengthen the army, then we can actually see progress. Anyway, so these three things I wanted to bring up. It's relatable to our lives, our practical life situation. And also, yeah, the other thing is humility. He's the emperor of the world, he has so much, he's done so much, but there is no vanity, so much modesty and humility. He sat with his sons humbly before the sages and listened to them. Please finish this page, Kamal Mataji, if you like.
Discuss the absolute truth. Aware of Rishabha's divine identity, the hermits offered him a seat at the head of the assembly. The local citizens heard word that the emperor was to speak and hurried to the spot to hear him. He then instructed his 100 sons in how to guide the people. Listen as I relate that conversation.
Should we start the next chapter or should we do it tomorrow? Any comments? We can pause here for today. We can continue chapter 5 tomorrow. Okay, if you don't have any comments or questions, then Rajeshwari Radhika Mataji or Rasastali Mataji, would you like to do the affirmations?
Yes, I'll do. Affirmation 19. I make excellent japa my standard and focus on continually improving. One of the most important goals of the japa workshop, which this affirmation encourages, is to make bad japa unacceptable. In other words, we set a higher standard of japa for ourselves, and japa that falls below this standard becomes an unacceptable way of chanting for us. Secondly, this affirmation is meant to help us always strive to improve the quality of our japa. The reason this affirmation is so important is that it addresses a problem many of us have: chanting poorly day in and day out without trying to improve ourselves. Even if we do endeavor to improve, there is often a fear that the improvement we make won't last and we will fall back into our old japa habits. This affirmation is meant to encourage us to commit to not allowing ourselves to chant poor japa by creating an internal threshold that we will not allow ourselves to go below, and then gradually raise that threshold over time. If we commit to a higher standard of japa and deeply ingrain that standard within ourselves, then when we start to go below that standard, we'll automatically correct ourselves. In this way, we can ensure that our japa will always be good. It's like a fuel gauge. As soon as we see our fuel gauge is nearing empty, we fill it up. Similarly, as soon as our japa level goes below good, we immediately fill it up. I make excellent japa my standard is meant to help us preserve better japa habits. Let us make both good japa and continual improvement our new standard. Let us never allow ourselves to chant anything but good rounds. If we can deeply imbibe this consciousness, that is, bad japa is non negotiable, the effects on the quality of our japa and on our lives will be significant. Hare Krishna.
Harinam Sankirtan ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Wow.